Hi guys, Samantha from Jessama Tutorials here, and today I'm going to show you how to create a cute woven pendant using fimo leather effect. So we're going to be creating two skinner blends that look like this. So this is the first one, and this is why I'm using fimo leather effect, because it has this really interesting effect after you put it through the skinner blend technique, and I'll be demonstrating it with these. And you can find out what colours I'm using in the supplies before the video. So first I'm just going to roll it out with my roller. And now keep in mind, if you don't have fimo leather, the techniques will work with souffle, except you won't get the same effect from the skinner blend. So I'm just going to run this through my pasta machine very quickly, like so. Then you're going to fold it over, and now if you don't know how to create a skinner blend, I have videos on how to do that, and I'll provide a link to that in the description below. But we're going to be going through the exact same process as we usually would when creating a skinner blend. Okay, and I just will continue going through this process of folding and rolling until I'm happy with the effect I get. And you can see it's starting to come out there, so I'm presuming one more roll should do it. So I'm just going to tidy up these edges before I do that. So it's basically, it's not a full skinner blend. You can get a full blend with the fimo leather, you just need to roll over and over and over again. When you don't go through the entire process of the skinner blend and you stop kind of halfway, you get this kind of interesting mottled effect, which is what I'm going for. Okay, and there we go. I'll probably stop at about there. Now I just need to make sure that's the same thickness as my blend over here. It's a little bit too thin, so I'm just going to roll it, go up one setting and then roll it through. There we go. Alright, so now we're just going to trim this. Like so, and keep these because you can turn those into a proper skinner blend later on. And I'm just going to trim these edges. We have these cracks, and this can just go back into your colours. And there we go, we have our kind of interesting skinner blend effect. Okay, just make sure that's the right size. Yes. Okay. So now I was wondering whether I want to use these together. I'm not sure if I'm going to, so we'll see how we go with that. This one I like the best. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just start trimming parts from it. So you need to make sure to keep your blade clean while you are doing this, because there are stuck kind of like fibre. There's kind of fibre in the actual clay itself. So if I cut here, hopefully you can see here, this is a blunt blade, it's not very sharp, and you can see here the fibres that come off. You don't want that going into every cut, so each time you cut, take that, and then if it's a blunt blade, generally it's actually better to clean off with a wet wipe. You don't really want your fingers around your blade like that. There, just clean off with a wet wipe like so. And now I'm trying to trim these basically the same thickness each, and then I will just wipe each time. Okay, and then you're also going to want to take a piece of white leather clay, and you're going to want to run that out on the thinnest setting of the pasta machine. This will just make our life a lot easier. This is what we're going to be using to kind of weave it. So I'm just going to quickly trim that. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to just put this to the side. I've got a piece of plain printing paper off to the side where I'm going to be keeping all of these spare sheets, because I don't need them in the way. So just take this, pick it up like so, and then just pop that off to the side. And then you're also going to want to take this, and I'm just going to trim it clean, like so. And then you're going to want to trim extra teeny tiny strips. So that was cut. Okay. You want to trim these very small, smaller than the previous ones. So I'm just going to trim a few of those. Okay, and now that we have a few of those, I'm just going to put that off to the side on the piece of plain printing paper too. And now we are ready to begin. So just going to take each of these. Now you might find that there's, I'm not sure if you can see there, hopefully you can see on the camera there that there is kind of furry bits along the edges. So each one you just want to try and gently brush that off, like so. And each of them is going to have that, so you might want to just run your finger along the edge just to smooth that off. And I'm just going to bring over a few, and I'm just going to place them next to each other after I've just brushed off all of these little furry pieces. Okay, so I think that's enough to start with, so let's begin with those. So I'm just going to take them and bring over one of these. So we just move these out the way. Okay, bring over one of these, like so. And I should probably start with the ones that are going to be under. So space those out, like so. Because there's going to be one in between. Okay, and you want to space them out and carry on doing that until they are to about the size that you want your pendant to be. So I'll probably stop after this one. Okay, and I'm just going to place that on top. And just gently tap that down so that it sticks to a certain degree. Then grab the next lot. Place that on top. And in between each of these. And now these all aren't the same thickness. I wanted to go for a semi-organic look. And I'm just going to place one more here. And one more here. Okay. Now the next job is going to be to take these. I'm just going to bring back the ones that were under, and this is why it's nice to work with a pretty strong clay that doesn't stick to itself completely very easily, and also that it's very flexible. It makes this process a lot easier. Okay, then place those back over the top. Like so. And essentially you'll just continue with this pattern as far as you want to go. Okay, and here is how it looks. So I'm just gonna trim this off here. Can get rid of that. And I'm also just going to trim off here. And up there, and all of these colours you can use again. So now I'm just going to lift that up, and we're just going to do some cleanup. This would actually be a great way to maybe make coasters, or probably not so much coasters, but table mats where you put your plates on. It would work really well for that. So now I'm just gently going to bend these around, and this is the back. So just gently bend those back so that they are secured in place. And it is quite fiddly. There we go. Then just lift that up again. And I'm going to trim these off a touch more. And just remember to clean off your blade. Just going to trim them closer. Go. And then I'll gently butt them up against the edge. So. Okay. So now I want to put this onto a backing. So I'm going to just roll out a piece of black fimo leather. Okay. And this has been rolled out on the thinnest setting of my pasta machine. All I want to do is I just want to take this, and now when I lay it down, I'm not going to stick it on. I'm just gently going to press enough so that it's going to sit still while I cut out my pieces, but not so much that I won't be able to separate out the pieces afterwards, so that we can save ourselves some clay. I'm just going to position it like that. Here is my main piece. Okay, and I'm just planning out where I want to position them. Okay, and so I think they're going to be roughly like that. And now this is going to be a pair of earrings, and I want them to kind of look, I don't want them to look the same, but they're from the same piece of clay, so that's what I want. And I'm going to just cut, and the process of cutting it like this should stick it down around the edges. And let's lift that out the way. And then very quickly remove this, and you can see that comes off without too much hassle. And actually, let's do that away from our earrings. And there's going to be a little bit of residue around the edges, but because it's black, generally once you mix that in, it's not noticeable. So you can see a tiny bit of residue, but not enough that we can't reuse it just as plain black. This, I'll show you what we can do with this in a little while. Just put that to the side. Okay, and you can see we have these kind of furry edges, which is normal. So I will just take a blade, and generally I'll just gently smooth along the sides, and that will just either remove the fur, or it will smooth it back onto the clay. Like so. There we go. Then I'll just lift that up off the tile. Essentially there are our earrings. nice tidy around the edges, smooth off any parts that that you see have little crumbs on them, because sometimes they do, like here I can see there's a little bit there. And just gently press your fingers along the sides to just smooth out any leftover little furry pieces. And there we've got a really cute pair of woven earrings. So I'll put that to the side, and let's see what we can do with those leftovers. So here are the pure just leftover bits and pieces. You've also kind of got these Skinner blend pieces over here that you could reuse back into the Skinner blend, but you could also add that into the general leftover pile, which I'm probably not going to do. I'll keep these two. There was a little stringy piece that I will add back into the leftover bits and pieces, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to squish that together, and we're going to kind of create a marble with that. Just roll it in your hands. Okay, and I'm just going to try and get it into a semi-rectangular shape. And then we're going to pop that through the pasta machine. So, now I'm going to roll, fold. And now generally if I come up with something interesting like maybe that, you could use that, but if I don't come up with anything too interesting, like today it's not really coming out with anything interesting, you can blend this into a colour. So you can see here, it's going to blend into a colour. It's not going to be a pure solid colour because of those fibres. It's going to give you this interesting kind of mottled effect, which can work really well in other projects. But that's generally what I'll do with the leftovers. And that's why I'm conscious of what colours I use, so that when I blend them together, they don't form mud, they form something that looks quite pretty. So let me just bring this over to you now that it's fully blended. Now it's kind of got that mottled effect, but if you continue blending you could probably get it into a somewhat pure colour. So that's generally what I'll do. Now I'm just going to take this one, which is two other colours, and I'm going to make the same pair of earrings, and then we can bake them and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, and so here's the next one. Now the difference with this one is, whereas the other one I just had it all laid out so it was green to red, then again another green to red. This time I'm going red, green, so I'm alternating. So I'm just going to grab that, and again we're just going to place that onto a piece of black, press that down, and then you can cut out your pieces. And now you can do it however you want. You can alternate it with all the green at the top, all of the red at the bottom, or you can do it red, green, and so on like I have. It's going to look different each time you do that. Okay, so there we go. And so you can see with this one you get a more even looking earring, where basically both sides look almost exactly the same, whereas with this type you're going to get different sides to the earrings, so it depends on what you want really. So now we're going to put those onto a piece of plain printing paper, so let me just bring that over. And the reason I do that is because then it means that the backs don't get shiny spots, which is quite important. So piece here, and we're going to bake them for a full hour at Fimo's recommended temperature. And then when we're done, we're just going to maybe give the sides a slight sand just to clear up any other little furry pieces that might be there. We'll probably just string them like that. I don't think we're going to be putting any varnish on them because we want to preserve the natural texture that the leather has. So I'll show you what they look like when they're done. Okay, so once they're baked, this is what they're going to look like. You can hopefully see on the back there that it's got a texture. And that is just a texture that comes with the clay. You cannot smooth that out. It will stay no matter what. It should be quite flexible once it's cooled. This is cooled completely. When it's warm, it's actually very flexible. And so we're just going to take a pin drill, and I'm just going to drill through the top here. And I felt the sides, and I don't feel like we need to do any sanding, so I'm not going to worry about that. And as for varnishing, there's no reason to varnish. I quite like the natural look of the clay. I like how it has that matte suede finish, and we don't have any surface effects such as mica powder or alcohol ink that need to be sealed. So as far as varnish goes, we don't have to use them if you don't want to make it shiny, or yeah, if you don't want it shiny, then don't worry about putting any varnish on. So I've just got jump ring here. You open that up, slide that through like so. Okay. Then I've got an ear wire here, and what I like to do is I like to take it, it's got this loop here. I take my pliers, grip that, take my pliers again, and I'll grip it over here, and I just turn that like so. And that means I don't have to put an extra jump ring on for it to hang right. And I'll just grip that, snap that closed, and then I like to twist that jump ring back so that the seam is so the seam of the jump ring is inside of the hole of the earring. And that's basically it for the tutorial. Very simplistic, great for beginners. Again, remember, if you do not have the fimo leather, you can do this technique with just about any brand of clay you want. It doesn't necessarily have to be flexible. I wanted to use it because I want to get that kind of mixed fabrics look that we got from it, which I really quite like the look of. Let me just bring this here so that I can zoom in for you. So I really like this kind of effect where it looks like the fabric hasn't formed together, and also I like the texture a lot, so it does end up looking a lot like you've either used suede or leather to create the earring with a leather sheet back, which is really nice. However, if you don't have this brand of clay, it will work with just about any other brand. Just keep in mind that you might need to do a little bit of sanding, and you need to be more careful of fingerprints, because the leather clay doesn't take on fingerprints at all. Unless you try really hard, it might take on fingerprints, but I've never had trouble with fingerprints, which is another reason why I like it for this technique, because you're handling the clay a lot, and if it doesn't automatically have a texture in it, you're going to end up with a lot of fingerprints. So if you don't have fimo leather, I would highly recommend using souffle, because that one also has kind of an inbuilt texture that will stay no matter what. But if you don't have souffle, you can use other brands, but just be aware of the fingerprints. You might want to use gloves while you're working with the clay. And also, you can use any colours you want. I made the white strips thinner than the coloured strips, just so that the coloured strips were the main focus. And I also went with a kind of organic basket weave effect where things aren't completely symmetrical. You can do that if you want, or you can make it the way I did. There are lots of different variations. So if you enjoyed that tutorial, please do let me know in the comments below, and if you would like to support this channel so that I can continue posting videos like this one and many more every week, please do consider becoming a patron. That would be super helpful to me. I'll include a link to the site and in the description below the video. Keep in mind that you will also get exclusive videos on Patreon. You will also get a bunch of backlog, so just keep that in mind. There are rewards for becoming a patron as well. And as always, I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.